Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com. It is in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out directly for pricing, tmosso@the1916company.com. Launched in 2016 and made in 8 pieces, this is the stainless steel Andreas Strehler Time Shadow. Using his time-honored papillon case shape, the independent master who started his career as a prototypist at Renault Papi has created a watch that is deceptively simple. The underlying gear is quite sophisticated. Here we have essentially a 2-register display, and you can see that they're very subtly geared together. More on that in a moment. Let's start with the fit. So in stainless steel, the watch is 41 millimeters from side to side, not including this distinctive Strehler concave crown. In terms of thickness, I measure 10.3 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, 47 millimeters, and a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, it fits quite nicely. Now, non-round watches always fit unconventionally, but like the Audemars Piguet Millenary or the Omega Dynamic, this is a watch that wears long down the wrist rather than broad across the wrist. So I would say think of it as about a 39 or 40 millimeter round watch, and you get the right idea. I'd recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. Once again, my wrist is 16 centimeters circumference. The strap, which you can see is a Strehler factory strap, has large rectangular scales on the top, large rectangular scales symmetrically shaped, very high-grade cut of the alligator hide we have here. A broad but folded edge. It's not shear cut with a monotone stitch. There is some bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. You can see excellent condition here. We have a Strehler buckle that is polished top and bottom with a wonderful sort of concave profile when viewed from the side. The nuance on this watch, everywhere you look, is impressive, and you can see that it's almost laterally fluted. A beautiful complement to a watch that is simply rife with lovely details. You can see how the bezel overrides the lugs, standing proud of the lugs and creating another focal plane when the watch is viewed from the side. We have that lovely crown with concave facets as viewed from the ends and a sharp knurling that is an absolute pleasure to wind. A manual wind watch, you will enjoy that pleasure frequently. Now the dial features orange accents. I know some folks are going to wonder, is it loomed? And yes, it is. And you actually have a backlit hour that is geared centrally to the minute hand. Andreas Strehler here really showcasing his 8th movement. This is the Strehler caliber number 8 internally. And his thought here was that it was somewhat reminiscent of a game of pool with the orange circle queuing up the number to be backlit. And that's sort of the idea here, that this is the stick and this is the cue ball. Maybe a little bit esoteric. I'm not sure I would have picked that up myself, but it is very handsome. And I've often said the world needs more orange accented watches. You have Strehler's long-running Papillon logo, of course Papillon, butterfly en français, here with a little wire cut. Like everything else, it's beautifully detailed. There's a matte finish to the majority of the dial and a satination to the skeletonized hour disc, and you could see that the way it sets, a slow scrolling skeletonized display against that orange backlight. The watch on its reverse side, beautifully finished. You can see this is the Time Shadow. Strehler is famous for being the watchmaker's watchmaker in the independent space. What Jaeger-LeCoultre was to other brands in the 19th and 20th century, Strehler is to independents today. Everything from Vaugarde's unconventional travel time displays to the hidden dual-time display of the Maître du Temps Chapter 3. He's built one installment of the Harry Winston Opus series, and he's often created not just the watches and movements, but also the industrial process behind the creation of the watches, everything from the tooling to the programming used on the tools. So when he makes a watch under his own name, you get only the best. What you have right here is a movement that is properly shaped and sized for its case. So taking a look at the reverse side side here, caliber number 8 is 32 millimeters by 30 millimeters in diameter. It features a lovely hammered and chiseled texture with a raised and relieved satination around the edge of the bridges. And then you could see outboard of that satination, beautiful rounded mirrored hand-finished bevels with super sharp interior angles. You've got at least 3 really sharp interior creases where bevels meet in sharp creases. Oftentimes you'll find Geneva hallmark movements that don't have one of these. Strehler gives you at least 3 really good ones. A little gold plate down there with the year of manufacture. You can see bridges below for the balance in the escape wheel. You'll notice it is a free-sprung balance with an overcoil hairspring adjusted by hand so that it will keep consistent time in every position. The advantage of multi-position adjustment and an overcoil with centered mass. It is free-sprung to allow for more precise setting of the time and also more resilience against shock. And then it beats away at 3 hertz or 21,600 vibrations per hour, 2 barrel arbors, no shortage of torque, 78 hours of power reserve, and the watch has a stop works to stop it when fully wound and largely discharged so that the movement will stop before it begins a losing substantial amount of time, which is always preferable to running while losing time. That is the purpose of a stopworks. As you could see, all of the jewel sinks feature internal beveling. The screw heads are polished with chamfered slots in circumference, and though you cannot easily see the keyless works, it is beautifully decorated with polish, beveling, and satination. There is no shortage of artistry. Handmade, hand-finished, very rare, with only 8 created from one of the great modern masters of independent horology. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Oh, one last detail, because someone will inevitably ask, but this is a 30-meter water-resistant watch. Do not swim with it. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for pricing.